Thank you, gentlemen, for a very insightful session and for sharing your inspiring stories. A very important concern for most entrepreneurs is funding. In order to understand the trends in angel, VC, and PE funding with a focus on Kerala, we have an apt panel to discuss the very same issues. Our session chair is Mr. Rajesh Nair, who is an Associate Director, Markets, Ernst & Young LLP. Mr. Rajesh Nair did his engineering from NIT and then joined Tata Motors as a graduate engineering trainee. Post his stint there, he did his MBA from SP Jain Institute of Management. After his business program, he joined PwC in 1999 and has since been in the consulting space. During his last 14 plus years in the management consulting domain, he has also worked with Accenture and has been with Ernst & Young for the last 4.5 years. His area of expertise is organization restructuring, operational and people strategy. Mr. Rajesh currently heads the Kochi office of Ernst & Young and focuses on business development for all services of Ernst & Young. He has spoken at various industry forums and is a visiting faculty in several leading management institutes across India. He's a charter member of TiE Global. He reads and writes in his spare time and devotes pro bono time for helping startup organizations, MSMEs, and young entrepreneurs. He was conferred the KMA Manager of the Year award earlier this year. Thank you, sir, for chairing this session. I'd like to introduce Shushanto Mitra. Mr. Shushanto Mitra is the founder and CEO of Lead Angels, an angel network based in Mumbai. Mr. Mitra has been working in the early stage ecosystem in India for the last 15 years. He was most recently director of Hyderabad Angels until June 2013. Prior assignments included CEO Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, IIT Bombay, and director of TechCap India, a boutique investment bank focused on early-stage companies. His earlier stints included companies like PricewaterhouseCoopers, HCL Insys, and Softtech. He regularly speaks and writes about his early-stage companies at industry forums and media. He has conducted a number of mentoring programs for entrepreneurs at CII, TiE, NASSCOM, and other industry events connected with startups. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Mitra. Our next panelist is Mr. Hari Krishnan, who is a Senior Vice President at Venture Intelligence, the leading source of information on deal activity in India, including private equity, venture capital, and mergers and acquisitions in India since 2002. Venture Intelligence's research and analysis is used extensively by financial and strategic investors and the media. Its customers include leading PE, VC firms, limited partners, investment banks, law firms, HR services firms, corporations, and consulting firms. Mr. Hari has over 10 years of experience, of which over 6 years as an entrepreneur. Prior to Venture Intelligence, Mr. Hari co-founded a startup in the education space that raised angel investment from Chennai Angels before getting acquired by EdServe, a listed education player. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Hari. Last but not the least, we have Mr. Sunil Tekkat, who is a partner with India Value Fund Advisors. He's a partner of India Value Fund Advisors, a successful PE fund in India. In Kerala, they have invested in SFO Technologies, DM Healthcare, VKL Seasonings, Neptune Ready Mix Concrete, and is one of the major PE investors here. Mr. Sunil has been with IVFA since 2000 and is based in Bangalore, where he has been involved in setting up the investment processes and formulating portfolio strategies with special interest in healthcare, education, and energy. Mr. Sunil has a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering from the University of Kerala and holds a postgraduate diploma in management from IIM Bangalore. He earlier worked for 7 years in the investment team of ICICI Venture Funds and with L&T in their project management team for power and petrochemical projects. So we have a very eminent panel, and I'm looking forward to this session. Over to Mr. Rajesh. Well, in the different halls, the information will be in your pamphlets, so in case anything interests you, please go ahead. Thank you.
Reiterate, this is the time in the conference where we are distributing into 6 different tracks. There is mentoring happening, there is the pitch festival starts now, and there are 2 more tracks, 2 more sector tracks, which are also education and another track which start off. So any of you, if you want to go join those tracks, please look at the schedule and you can move over to that respective hall. We have a very distinguished panel along with us, and I think the question that we are trying to answer today is one of those which I think each of you would have grappled, especially the new entrepreneurs. All of you would be grappling with some of these questions. We have a very, very nice mix of people. We have Sushanta, who's an angel. We don't see too many angels, so if you haven't seen one, this is how the angels look like in heaven as well. Then we have Hari. Hari comes with a lot of analytics background. So while we are avoiding slides and presentations, Hari has some very relevant analytics on what has happened in the in the investment space in the last 3-4 years. So we will see that as well. And then of course Sunil is an established player in the PE space, and he's invested in several companies in Kerala as well. The way we will run the session is we are going to run it across 3 themes. One is broadly what are the trends these gentlemen sitting out here are seeing in the investment space. Where is all the money going? Are they going into a particular sector, or are they going into multiple sectors? So we want to hear from each of them in terms of what are the latest or the current trends, and slightly looking at what's happened in the past as well. Then we want to talk about what they perceive the next 2-3 years as. All of you would have heard that probably right now is a little dim, but everyone is optimistic that 2014 is going to be a much larger year, we hope. So we want to hear about the future, which is the second theme. And the third theme, I guess, which is what a lot of you would want to hear, is what is it that they have as an advice for the Kerala-based entrepreneur. So how does the Kerala-based entrepreneur look at funding, and what are those do's and don'ts that they have come across in their respective careers? So I throw open the question first to Sushanta, and then we will move. I think, Hari, while you respond, you can use the slides as well. And we will ask Sunil after that. So Sushanta, what do you see today?
So of course, Hari will have all the analytics. So where I'm talking from is like most of you, what you read in the newspapers and what you hear your friends and others getting funded. So I would put it in 3 broad areas. One is, you see problems that are yet to be solved. When I say problems yet to be solved, means that, say, if you look at, you have lots of hotel reservation companies, but in the healthcare sector, there are very few things which solve the sort of hospital reservation problem, or any problem which is yet to be solved. Doctor clinic reservation, or things which have not yet been solved. The second being that there are already solutions. Say in housing, there's Magic Bricks, there is India Properties, but now you have Housing.co and Common Floor who are doing it more elegantly. They're using something else apart from what 99 Acres and Magic Bricks did. They're putting in GPS. Somebody's putting a social element in recruiting. Somebody's putting your smartphone applications for solving some other problem. So problems which can be solved more elegantly with the new available technologies, or penetration of smartphones or other stuff like that. The third is the underserved markets. So underserved markets are markets where the existing companies are not servicing potential customers there. So you're talking about maybe the poor people are not getting financial services, so there is now a solution for providing financial services to the poor people and stuff like that. And what is otherwise broadly called the bottom of the pyramid. So these are the 3 sectors I see a lot of action happening. Thanks.
Sure, let me straight away go to some data to kind of set the context as to what we are talking about in terms of where are the funds, where are they going, and more so in terms of in Kerala, where does the funding go to as well. So I wear 2 hats. One, I started a company in 2005, sold it in 2011. It was a startup in the education space, selling some software and services to parents and schools. And this is my second hat, which is tracking investment deals in India. Here we go. Private equity or venture capital started in India effectively in 2005 after the successful exit in Airtel by Baba Pinkas at that point in time. So till that time, it was just there. Early days, 98, 99, started with a couple of deals, predominantly US-based venture capitalists having some office in Bangalore or in Bombay, and a few deals typically to alumni who were there, educated in the Harvards of the world, and then coming and setting some business in India. Today, the scenario has drastically changed. You have, in total, $78 billion of capital that's been invested into India. This includes venture capital as well, so private equity and venture capital is included in this. And if you see year on year, there are about 400 odd deals at a stable level, between $6 to $10 billion in value each year. So 2011, you see the amount was the highest there. And in Kerala specifically, in comparison, I know it's well, anecdotally people know Kerala has not probably attracted a lot of PE funding comparatively to the size of the market here, size of the state, the size of entrepreneurs, the size of businesses that run here vis-a-vis the country per se. In terms of numbers, there are 54 deals that have attracted together about $920 million. So roughly about just over a percentage figure, both in the value and the volume terms. But the good news is, in the last 3 years, every year there have been over 10, 11, 12 deals, almost a dozen deals every year in the last 3 years. Which if you compare it to, let's say 2013 of 340 deals in that year, it's close to 3% mark, right? So it's improving. Obviously, we know the early stage buzz that is there in the incubation centers here, the startup village, and we heard 190 companies got started in the last few years in that space. So we see this trend growing in Kerala, also nationally. So top 5 investments in India: Bharti Infratel, over $1 billion; M-Modal, over $1 billion; Genpact, $1 billion; Hero, and Arisen. And for people who are always asking this question, is technology the only space that's getting all this investment? No. Right? It's evident here. The next slide, top 5 investments in Kerala. Right? You have Sunil right here, who's invested in DM Healthcare. This is a leading deal in India, in Kerala so far, $100 million. You have banking companies, South Indian Bank and Federal Bank that have taken funding, IBS, and DM actually has 2 rounds, so it's $150 million. So, and these are the top deals. P deals by city. Obviously, Mumbai and Bangalore have been the hotbeds of attracting capital. You see, vis-a-vis the other cities like Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, Kochi, Thrissur, Trivandrum are catching up, though in comparison, there's a long way to go as well. The yellow is the 2013 numbers and the green is the overall, the decade numbers. So what stage of the company that this funding goes to? In the last 5-6 years, a lot of mid-sized companies were attracting this fund, capital, but of late, you've seen a lot of early space. Again, as Sushanta was saying, there are a lot of angels, though probably not too many angels around here, but this angel movement has actually been very visible in the last 2 years in India. Good number of startups that are in their first year of operation with some revenue visibility or customer traction have been able to attract funding. And then we have a good set of VCs who are very active to take it forward from there on. So you see the bulk of the investments in 2013 have happened in the early space, followed by the growth space, and then the late stage investments. By industry, again, we'll have to give it to IT, taking the largest share of 38%. This is only in 2013 by number of deals, followed by BFSI, and before that, there's healthcare there. So, even historically, in the last 10 years, it's always been IT, healthcare, BFSI, or finance in some way. These are the top 3 sectors that have been always attracting funds. So, any entrepreneur who's doing, a healthcare startup or a finance startup, the numbers are here in favor. By value, again, IT dominates. You have healthcare, you have manufacturing as well, attracting good amount of funds. Again, this is across the years, 2001 versus 6 versus 13. You have IT, again, BFSI, healthcare, the same themes. By amount, pretty similar. Here's the interesting part. When it comes to exits, India has been a little, worried in terms of the number of exits, successful exits that have been given to investors per se, in comparison with the $10 billion amounts that you saw that got invested in 2006, 7, etc. Right? Of this $70 billion, not too much of capital has been given back to the original investors in terms of returns. So that, in a sense, there is an exit overhang in the mid-tier or mid-segment, P investment space. So exits, there are only 2 ways, other than the promoter buying back. Majorly, it's M&As. So some company coming and buying your company or the IPO route. M&As are typically large in number, though someone would want an IPO as a better off exit, where the entrepreneur continues to stay in control of the business. So M&As have been leading every year historically with 70, 80 M&As happening in the last 2-3 years, year on year. M&A by type, again, strategic sale and secondary sale. Secondary sale is where one investor sells to the other investor. So these two dominating the last few years in terms of exits. IPOs by size. So these are the top IPOs again. Bharti Infratel, Adani Power, Genpact, SKS Microfinance, Suzlon, and India Bulls. So the previous slide was IPOs, now this is M&As, PPL Communication, iFlex, Paras Pharma, Inclinet, Allianz Tires. Again by industry, again IT dominates, followed by healthcare. Yeah, you have manufacturing as well in the third space. That about it. I think you have a fair idea of what industries typically attract, what cities attract, what stages of your company attract capital. So here we could probably have a few more words from the moderator and Sunil. Anyone who wants any data snippets from this, you can write to us at info@ventureintelligence.in. We'll be happy to share this with you.
Only thing you don't seem to included real estate in the
outside of real estate.
It's one big area of investment for private equity guys today. You can see a lot of deals being announced. But in general, what angels invest today, will invest maybe a few years down the line, hopefully. So some of the things they have invested some time back, including consumer products and services, healthcare. These are the areas where a lot of investments are going in. Also energy, especially alternate energy sources, is an area of interest. So you can see those splits now. Healthcare, consumer products and services, energy and real estate could be the areas of interest.
So I think broadly, if I could quickly summarize this part of the conversation, the angels essentially look for some I think one of those points which Sushanta made is very true. I think there's a lot of interest in unserviced segments, or as we call as he mentioned, as bottom of the pyramid, where even companies like microfinance or that entire industry is attracting a lot of investment, and there are people ready to give money into that part of the BFSI industry. Otherwise, You've seen the data which Hari presented, and again, if I could summarize that, that number of slides for you. Essentially, we are going through what perhaps is a slight dip in the industry. So we are seeing a lesser number of deals. We are seeing lesser number of exits. Lesser number of exits essentially is always a mark that perhaps it's not the good time. People are still hanging on to their investments. A lot of them feel that they're not making the right kind of money, and hence they will hold on, hoping for a better tomorrow. And I think one area which we are seeing a lot of press on now, and as Sunil said, which is attracting a lot of private equity now, is the real estate space. Now, real estate in Kerala, we have not seen too much of action in the real estate space, and even in the infra space, we have not seen too much of development. What we have seen in Kerala, and what Hari also had shown, is the number of startups and early stage companies which are seeking out. So what we have in the incubator today for the last 1.5 years is a lot of ventures which are at that stage where they have an idea, they have tried to operationalize the idea, and they have a product in place, but that's where it is. And what they're looking for is that next level of growth, for which they are looking at angels and VCs right now. Of course, they are too small for India Value Funds and several other large players to come in and invest.
Do you think the investments are slowed down, but the numbers show that this year has been good
Compared to last year,
This year has been better.
Yeah, till date there are about 360 investments, while last year had about 400 plus, and the previous year had 460. So it's not over 400 this year, but it's not significantly slowed down. It's up there, close to 400 per year mark.
in terms of value. I think it's still the same as last year.
Yeah, value-wise, there are a couple of big deals which go in the billion-dollar bracket, which kind of put it at par with the previous ones. But what you have seen is there are more deals now with less and less value, which is good news in the sense that a lot of early-stage companies are getting funded. So if someone has a $100 million fund, rather than funding 10 companies with $10 million each, which is a typical PE kind of a deployment, there are a lot of companies today with a $100 million fund which are deploying $2 million in 50 companies, right? So there are a lot of activity in the VC and then accelerators, incubators, etc. So that's very visible. The buzzword is there in the early stage in India today. So
I guess the early stage is what we have seen a lot of buzz in. The others, I said, some a little more, some a little less, but fairly lukewarm right now. I think I'll ask a question which is out of the syllabus, so to say. We are hearing a lot of incubators and we are hearing a lot of accelerators which are happening. What would be your interest? I mean, you come from 3 different segments. What is your interest in the incubators and the accelerators?
So prior to this, I used to run an incubator at IIT Bombay. But anyway, so I think for angels, they want to see a concept which has got some revenue validation. That means there is the market validation is there, and these accelerators and incubators are doing exactly that. They're taking a business plan, getting the prototype ready, and getting the first clients for the company. And that actually has encouraged angels to invest, because now they know that this company is not just a business plan, but has got real clients and has got real revenues. And that's the time typically an angel is willing to take the bet. So that is what is very good. Of course, on the flip side, some of the activity that is happening in accelerators and incubators is also in raising the expectations of the entrepreneurs, and therefore their valuation expectation also increases after they have been through this acceleration or incubation process. So the positive and negatives of how you're looking depends on which side of the table you're sitting.
What about you, Hari?
I would like to add this perspective that in the last couple of years especially, the way someone starts a business has been completely changing, especially in the West, with this principle called lean startup, right? So, one of the reasons why we're not seeing too much of money in Kerala that has taken PE funding is that obviously you have friends and family money filling in the initial capital. So if someone is running a mid-tier company, if he needs capital, he would have approached friends and family, relatives who have enough money, enough relatives, friends earning outside India who are willing to look at investment opportunities and attracted a lot of money through that friends network, which is a fairly strong reason why I think Kerala has not been on the top of the states in terms of PE attraction. But on the other angle to it, PE funding, VC funding comes with a lot of just money alone. So with money comes your expertise to run businesses very smartly. So in that sense, if you talk about the way the accelerators or incubators have actually positioned themselves and the way they are operating, it's giving this expertise of finding the right path for your startup, for your business, finding the pain point which actually solves the core problem in the business that you're trying to build, and giving small monies, small support, a lot of mentoring, advice, connections, etc. So that's where their value add lies, rather than just the pure money. So that is why I think it's in a good step, in a good direction, because a lot of the mistakes can actually easily be avoided with help from accelerators and incubators. Because if they've learned from 10 different ventures they've already funded or ran themselves earlier, at least those mistakes can easily be avoided by just being under their guidance for a few months or a few weeks, in fact. So that's been the real reason why accelerators are really multiplying by the numbers. So, but again, we'll have to be little judgmental in picking the right accelerator, because it's again a bubble kind of a feeling, because everyone is opening an accelerator. So we'll have to distinguish between the men from the boys, and then go and attach ourselves to the right accelerator.
Any views on the accelerators? And I know it's not your space, but
Yeah, not direct any no impact, but I think if you go through the accelerator program, when you come and talk to private equity guys, you'll have a lot more ideas on how to scale up the business, etc. Because you would have already talked to people with experience. So the kind of maybe learning process you have to go through during the initial phase of PE funding, you can avoid and maybe faster growth and stuff like that.
that brings us, I think, to the next question, which is, we have a lot of youngsters here. Some of you have small ventures of your own. Some of you are planning to take that plunge into entrepreneurship after regular jobs. Some of you have just come out of college and realized that perhaps you want to be a job creator rather than a job seeker. What I will ask the panel now is, and which I want to comment on right in the beginning, is what is it that we are looking for in some of these people coming and pitching? And I have a comment here to begin with. In my experience in the last 2.5 years in Kerala has been, we have had a lot of people come and ask us as a firm for funds and for funds related thing, how to grow, etc., etc. One common theme which I've seen across is the lack of preparation in a lot of them. And I'm not saying 100%, but a lot of people come with this fascinating idea where they have not really thought through the commerciality of that idea, and that complete love or that romance with the idea is still what's egging them on, and it's not that practicality, etc. So what I would want to ask our three speakers here is, in your view, when somebody comes for a pitch or somebody comes with a pitch, what are those three things that you definitely look at and you would expect that guy to have prepared when he comes and meets you?
Okay. So I think, as you said, all entrepreneurs are passionate, and yes, there are lots of youngsters who have a lot of passion. And as we said earlier, the exposure to business amongst young people in India, especially those in colleges and so on, is relatively much lower than, say, in the West. Those are various cultural and other reasons why they are very low in India as opposed to. So it makes a lot of sense to get that exposure either through an accelerator, incubator, people who are in business. So that's the first thing that we test, how serious is he to or she is to, actually go down and do walk the talk. So there's a lot of people who talk a lot of passion, but are they able to go and walk the talk? Two is that, the idea, is it something that is there a market for it? And one of the problems that a lot of entrepreneurs, they have very bright ideas but they may not be a ready market for that in India. And usually it is, especially tech startups, a lot of the time they have a solution looking for a problem rather than having found a problem, and give a solution. So a lot of people develop something and then start looking to market the product. So we'll see how has he taken feedback from his potential customers and modified his or her product and then started selling rather than just having a prototype ready of the product. Is there, the market is strong enough? I think that's the key thing. Is it scalable? Can the business grow to 50 crores, 100 crores and thereby become attractive to VCs and private equity? Because there are lots of businesses which are good businesses, there's nothing wrong with the business, but unfortunately they will never grow to a size which would make them attractive to the rest of the players in the value chain. Then as angels or early stage venture funds, you'll be still holding them. You're talking about how few exits have happened. That's one of the reasons scaling in India, because of all the problems that we have, is an issue. So very few businesses actually scale, and therefore very few businesses then can be sold to somebody else or go through the next stages. So that is the, scalability is, so these three things we look at.
I think it's more relevant for probably since we...
You don't see too many investors going, but still...
Yeah, I would say I probably paraphrase what I have heard from a lot of other investors, which is this: obviously the team, the complementary skills that they bring to the table. I mean, a lot of investors say the three reasons are team, right? So team is very important. I would say the second would be the size of the market. So large market is some criteria that generally investors look for, because it allows you to make mistakes and then go find your actual product market fit. If it's not fitting this way in the market, probably you can tweak it and then something else might fit in the same industry. That's one. Or a nice niche which is sizable and then your product fits in there, not too many players already, etc. And then I would say, past experiments that they have done and the learnings that they have done, traction so far. Typically Indian angel investors have been probably notorious to invest only in companies that have some cash flow traction. Now, if you already have 10 customers, then you have a big, chance of getting a next round of angel financing or a seed financing probably some early traction with customers, getting some revenue. It could be small, it could be 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs from 2-3 customers, but it establishes that there is a real need, there is a product that is fitting the market need, and I think probably that's a very important criteria.
Yeah. When the PE stage comes in, we are almost at the growth stage.
Right.
So what we are looking at is whether this business can grow to a large one. Scalable. Is the thing. So otherwise it can't take capital, and it can't be built into large one. You can't sell it off, or you can't, like he said, we can't divest our investment into the next either in the IPO market or to a strategic guy. So scale is important, and to reach that scale, then we look back to see whether the market is big enough, whether the team is good enough to scale it up, and we can always substitute or add to the team, but market size is important. Then obviously, is it addressable? Some of the technology companies, when they start here, they may not have real knowledge about what's happening in the markets which are in the US or somewhere. So from here, making some product is all the more difficult compared to if you are there. So, but something for Indian market, we would be readily funding compared to something,
So I think for those of you who are taking notes, I'm sure this was interesting. What we are hearing is, of course, the team. What we are hearing is also scalability of the idea. What we are hearing is the feasibility of this idea. As Sunil says, if you have an idea out here and if you're thinking of a company, make sure there's no similar idea elsewhere. And so these are some broad aspects. And again, I will add, I think that rigor into looking at the commercial aspect of your business is very necessary. And I know it's very difficult, especially for young engineers. The idea is always overwhelming. The idea of the product is always overwhelming. But please always think about who else is excited about your idea. It's not, you can't just be the only person, or you can't just be amongst a few people who are excited about your idea. You need to figure out whether there is a real market for your idea, and that's when you can look at funds, etc. So I think we'll wrap it up, and we'll try to make up some time as well in the session. One piece of advice. Okay, let me do some analytics as well. Close to 40% of the people who are attending this conference today are people in their first or second year of their businesses, or they are people who might start a business probably in a year's time, or they're looking for that right spur, which I hope Tycon will provide. So that's the broad constitution. Of course, we have very senior entrepreneurs, and we have some professionals as well. One piece of advice for the Kerala entrepreneur.
I think I would say focus on your strength. What are your strengths? Do you have, a domain knowledge, or do you have some relationships? That is going to give you the final push in the marketplace. I would say that makes the difference. So if Kerala has certain strengths, and if you can play on those, you should play on your strengths. That's my advice.
I would probably like to see a bigger vision from the current entrepreneurs. Dream bigger. Flipkart dreamt much big ahead of what anyone today could even believe, right? When Flipkart has been in operation for 4 years, and even today we are grappling to come to terms with, did they really raise $200-300 million at close to $1 billion valuation? And are they selling 500 crores worth of goods online in India? Is it possible in India? Do we have so many people doing transactions with credit cards online? I mean, so these are questions, especially 5 years back, it was not very easy to dream. And people from other parts of the country have been dreaming big and showing us the path. So I think we can dream bigger and achieve bigger. I'm sure there is a lot of market here, homegrown market, which can give you a good size in terms of your market share. But dream big and scale nationally and internationally. So I think that would be one thing I would like to see here.
Similar views. Look at your market, and if it's outside, it's a bigger market, then you should know what's happening there, and keep in touch with that, and not restrict to what's here. And so I think today most of the businesses are, can be scaled, and somebody from outside can come in. We need to go out. So we should have a very good idea about the market, who are the players there, how are they getting funding. So the information you should always seek, and try to scale up, dream big. That would be the,
So I think these are some of the key messages that you're hearing. Or a lot of investors are looking for companies who, as Sushantu said, have deep focus on what they're doing, have that complete focus into improving and increasing the size of their business, scalability, etc. As Hari says, dream big, take it to another level. If you are at a particular level, think of a quantum leap and try to do something far bigger. And as Sunil says, again, reiterating the fact that dreaming big is important. But also, since we live in a connected world, there is no excuse of not knowing what's happening across the border, or what is available, or what are the opportunities available. So make sure you leverage this connected world around you, get all information, and leverage it onto your company or your product or your service. Thanks a lot for the patient hearing, and please give a round of applause for these three gentlemen who really, and I think I like some of these textbook sessions where we have takeaways, and especially for the students out here, if you've heard, these are some very interesting advice that you have. In the general interest of the program, let me also quickly remind you again that the parallel tracks have begun, the pitch festival is on, the mentoring sessions are on, and the sector tracks are also on. So after this, we will have retail sector, which is in this room, but we have the other sectors which are there in some of the other rooms as well, and you can step out for tea as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all for this very valuable session. I'm sure everybody learned a lot from this, especially the presentation on the different trends. I think that was very interesting and exciting. As a token of our appreciation, I request Mr. Nair to present mementos to our guests. Mr. Mitra. Thank you all for joining us.